Hey guys, how's it going? It's Philip with Trade Genius. This video I wanted to go over the cryptocurrency Verge that's under the symbol XVG, and kind of like Monero, it's touting to be secure and anonymous. So looking for a way to privatize your transaction. And basically, a little background on it, it was created back in 2014, and actually back then they called it Dogecoin Dark. And then 2016 they rebranded to Verge. It's open source, so it's like Bitcoin. They have a lot more supply. So there's like 16.5 billion coins with a B, billion, which just dwarfs Bitcoin's cap of 21 million. The reason why they went with so many is they wanted to kind of get rid of having to go down into several decimal places deep, for example. So if you wanted to pay for a coffee, let's say a $5 coffee, in today's value that'd be like something like 80 XVG or so. So they wanted to be able to use whole numbers. So that was part of the reason why they made such a huge cap. There was no pre-mine, no ICO or anything like that. It was just basically an open source cryptocurrency, and that's capped. Transaction fee is 0.1 XVG. Again, if the price of it goes up, then the transaction fee goes up, but currently it's fixed at 0.1, and maybe they can change that. Transactions are designed to be a payment type coin, so you're going to have 5 to 10 second transaction times. And as far as capacity goes, they are implementing rootstock technology. We talked about that in another video, where rootstock would implement kind of like an Ethereum type protocol on the Bitcoin blockchain as a side chain. But they're doing that, so basically they'd like to be able to do something in the ballpark of 2,000 transactions per second. And then the maximum supply mined would be about 8 to 10 years out. So basically that's about it. They also have abilities to do atomic swaps, and they have APIs for accepting XVG, like say on online shopping carts and things like that. So that's a little bit behind the project. Let's take a look at the chart real quick. So if you look, we got a daily chart here, and just really went parabolic on us. And a big reason for this breakout of this trend line that had been kind of keeping a lid on it was John McAfee, I think, went on a television program or two and touted its capabilities as a secure private type of cryptocurrency. So this is a payment channel play for a coin. So is it a long-term hold? It's hard to say. You definitely could swing trade this thing, though. There's a lot of, you got to understand, there's alt money flowing back into, or I should say, there's money flowing back into the alt market across the board, and that's something we really weren't seeing all through like the fork stuff that we were going through until that cleared up basically last month. But this month we're starting to see some flows. But we do see an ebb and flow between Bitcoin and altcoins. So we're still refining that, I think. But for the most part, I think we're still kind of inversely correlated. Now, XVG, ran up in the last week or so, along with Bitcoin. So it was one of the few alts to do that. So if you're in it right now, you've basically booked like a 600% gain. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, you're up here at like almost 800, I should say. If you were down here waiting to get in, that's major. So that's the with alts, if you're looking at that, any kind of gain like that, I would be taking at least half off the table. And then what you do is you keep a little bit to run. If we look at the 4-hour chart, so that's the big picture. 4-hour chart. A couple of ways you can look at this, and one is you're in a rising wedge, which is bearish. Basically, you would be looking for an action like this, and then it tends to fall out. That doesn't mean the party's over. It's just that you might be able to catch a pullback. The other option would be you might have a formation where it's more like this starts to just consolidate in a pennant formation, and it bounces around here for a little while longer, and then it moves out of that, and then we're going to move up into this area here, which is basically the Fibonacci move extension, I should say. That's going to take you to about 480 Satoshi. This arc here is the parabolic curve, so it ran into that. This isn't a 4-hour chart, so you could theoretically see that being hit without running into that arc in the next day or so. All right, so a little bit, you know, I don't like chasing them when they're here. So, but you know, again, if it breaks out of this, if this is going to get retested, more than likely you're going to see this to probably test it, maybe pull back a little bit, and then test it again. On that, it probably would thrust through. That's just my read on that. But you do have an hourly, you know, the stochastics are recharged on the 4-hour. Our indicator, our crypto money machine indicator, which, you know, during this chop, just nothing's happening. So you're getting signals, but nothing really happens because it's just chopping. Then it starts to make a move out of that chop. You do get a signal, and that one runs quite a bit up here. So it is good once you start moving out of chop and you get a signal. Basically, you know, a lot of times you're going to see this happen. It signals right into a move up, and you get some really good gains that way. Otherwise, you just stop out for very tiny loss, and it's not that big of a deal. But on this one, on this particular one, you were looking at, you know, that signal would have yielded like 480% move right there. Crazy. And then you got an exit signal here, which typically you would just either get out there or you would trail a stop up, and then you get stopped out somewhere around where it got signaled. As far as this here, we do have a long signal on it, so that is pretty bullish. And so, you know, it would have been nice to have gotten it like on a pullback down in here, and even this didn't pull back that far. So we may see another thrust higher. What you want to keep an eye on, though, is if this does come out of here. So if you were long here, I'd say, you know, the signal fired, that's fine. That's a valid entry. But what you want to see is if this comes up, we want to see if we get a bearish divergence here. And what that means is this doesn't actually make a new high. This would actually go down while this is going up. That's a sign that you might be exhausting the move somewhat. All right, so that's the technical breakdown of Verge. Again, payment coin type play. I can't say it's a long-term hold yet, but you can definitely swing it. There's so many different coins out there and possibilities. It's hard to say what can be. That's a common question I get is it a coin that I can hold on to? Like I said, if you can book big gains and leave some on to run, that's probably the safest bet. And if it does gain traction, those coins are going to be worth a lot that you held on to, and you can always swing back into the position. So let's take a look at Bitcoin before we go. And so basically, you know, still consolidating. I know it feels like probably an eternity. This is an hourly chart, but because we see such massive moves up so fast. We actually did make a new high, almost going on probably a day and a half ago now. It's about 5 a.m. Eastern. So Asia didn't really do anything, which they have been kind of like the force on these moves. And so now we're testing this lower trend line. If this breaks, honestly, this is going to bring into play the 17,800 level, and that's not a bad thing. Bitcoin has really rocked into December, so, but it looks like just a consolidation. Now we also had consolidation back here, and these corrections will happen quickly, guys. So even if it did move down there, I wouldn't expect too much time spent there. But you know, we had this let me draw this a little bit better here. You know, so triangle consolidation, breakout, triangle consolidation, and then you would be looking for a breakout out of this, and really looking for this 20,800 or 20,880 level. So that's kind of the view on Bitcoin right now. This lower trend line's kind of been, the longer the trend line, the more touches, the more weight there is to it. So we may not get down to this 17,800. This trend line might stop us at 18,200 or so. So we'll keep an eye on that. If it breaks down, if this trend line holds, we're starting to get to a point where it's going to, Bitcoin doesn't do this very long, and it's going to break out one way or the other. So, but looking at the volume coming into this, actually, let's look at the daily volume on Bitcoin real quick. And the reason why, guys, is because, if we're starting to see institutional money flow in, then we should start seeing, your volume on the average start to build. And I think you do see that this shaded area is the average volume. And if you look just visually, you have your occasional spikes, but your base is kind of like down here, and we're elevated up here, and so there is a little bit of a elevated volume going on. We need more data, obviously, to see that, and we are in a December, so you got the holiday volume, which is typically light. So it'll be interesting to see how that flows into January. But that's it on Bitcoin. I think we're just consolidating, really, and really looking for this trend line to hold. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next video. Take care. Hit that subscribe button if it helps. Appreciate that.